Hello everyone, Turner Burner here with another video for you guys. I'm going to go over a detailed analysis on the Onslaught. I have two uploaded videos. One's associated with the Escape Marathon I did a couple months back, and then this video to where my team tried to kill all the enemies with three different people. One wasn't a score run, and this is a score run. The thing about the Onslaught is, unless you're doing some sort of Clayton invincibility glitch, it's pretty hard to focus on meat shielding all the enemies and headshotting all the enemies because you have to deal with frame rate drops and things of that nature. But we do our best to get some headshots here and there and some meat shields, but mostly we just try to kill everything with explosives. And, Foz can get what he can with headshots. So we had a really good Foz in this match, and that definitely helps with getting rid of DR1s and Scions. But if you guys didn't have a really good Foz, you would probably need to go with two, maybe three characters that did explosives. But it's really up to you how you play it out. But let's get into the video. So I was Clayton in this video, and I just recently watched it before this explanation. Based off of the gameplay, my cards must have been Reflex Shredder, Heavy Capacity, and Bait Armor, based off of the gameplay, and then 2 score boosts. Can't speak of the cards for my teammates, but those are my cards. So I'm not going to do a whole lot of pauses before the safe room because I'm pretty sure everyone's done this part as far as getting to the safe room. You want the frag popper spawn for score. You really want it on both before and after the safe room, but we didn't really worry about after the safe room as long as we got it before. So on the Onslaught, one of the easier ways to do it is have 2 teammates on the turrets. And also, fun fact, just for some history for people that don't know, I've soloed this map as Brawler, Anchor, Infiltrator, Nomad, and Gunner. So I don't think I missed anything. So 5 classes. But I think 3 or 4 of those videos, I didn't even know that you can cool down the turret. Because, this is my first PvE, so if you guys use the turret in Gears 4, you knew that you can cool it down. And someone also told me you can do that for tri-shots and cryo. I thought you just had to wait. So that goes to show you that I don't know everything. So if you do notice something that I may not know, don't act like or don't think I definitely know, because I may not know certain things versus certain other things. So just a little brief thing. So in this video, you'll see me using the turret, but not cooling it down. But you may see me waiting or just completely getting off until it cools down on its own. So just to give you some brief history on why that may be happening. So on the turret, it's ideal if 2 teammates are using the turret while the Foz user gets the ammo, just to clean up the poppers and the drones and the grenadiers. The grenadiers are shot grenadiers, so they will push. And when you have 3, Clayton has health. When you have 2 characters that have low health and then Clayton, it's not super ideal. If I were to score run this again, I'd probably play it a little bit differently, actually a lot differently. But this is how we played it for this run. So right now we're just trying to get rid of all the grenadiers, poppers, just to make sure we stay ahead of the Venom. We're basically treating it like a casual run, but with scorecards on. So Keegan and Clayton literally have one job: get rid of the poppers, get rid of the grenadiers, get rid of the drones. The Foz user is on my far right. He goes through the tile to spawn the snipers. And if you look at the kill feed, he headshot the snipers. So yeah, there's really not much to this first portion besides the fact that the enemies spawn basically the whole time, the whole first 2 minutes of the first act before the bomb detonates, and by the time the bomb detonates, they're all gone. So as Clayton, I get frags to possibly build my ult because the turrets do not help you build your ult, and every character gets a sniper rifle, which I think is important just in case you do get a rare headshot on a drone or an elite drone. So in this room, you got M-bar and I think you got fire grenades, ensign, and you got more ammo. So the Foz user, as I stated in my other video, the Boltok class or characters that need ammo get ammo first. Clayton is really based off of explosives more than he is blue boxes. So like salvos and mulcher, tri-shot. So the Foz user has gotten all the ammo that he can take, and then I get ammo for my sniper rifle. So the first act is it's actually extremely easy. I think you can do the first act with any three classes. It's the second act where the fun actually begins. So like I said, I'm not going to do a whole lot of pauses in this, but one person gets on the turret and the other person attempts to guard the right side. So basically, I'll get a headshot here and there, or I'll blow up a popper here and there just to guard the right side that we don't get overrun. I missed that headshot on the sniper. So basically, yeah, poppers tend to flank for whatever reason. So I just have to be careful and watch our flank. So in this spawn, you get Salvo Scion, which is good for Keegan and Clayton. And I think I'm almost positive it's the better spawn for score. So you get 4 Salvo Scions, you get an assortment of frag poppers, some snipers, and some drones. So the frag poppers are dicey, so you just have to be careful of them. This is the marksman class now, or Foz user, tries to headshot the Salvo Scions as they spawn. So as you can see, we're way ahead of the Venom. It helps to use the turret to, stay ahead of the Venom. And I pick up frags as they come up. And then I look for more frags just in case Keegan wants to use some. Or really any of us wants to use some, because frags will help the ult charge. So this is another ammo room for Foz. Once he fills up, that's it. I don't need ammo in that third supply room because I got a salvo now and I got heavy capacity. So that's the nice part of having the frag popper spawn. You get, I don't want to say unlimited salvos, but you do get a lot. So Keegan gets salvo. That helps build his ult. I almost have my ult. One thing you have to be cognizant of is the turrets do not help your ult charge, so you want to make sure you're getting a good bit of non-turret kills. That way, at minimum, you start the second act with your ultimate. If you start with your ultimate, that could help accelerate things in the second act, because the Venom is, for 3 people, the Venom is extremely slow in the first act, but extremely fast in the second act. So when we get to this portion of of Onslaught, Grenadiers, Poppers, the same usual suspects that are in this spawn. Salvo Scions come at a very, very aggressive rate. So you use the turret. So Keegan uses the salvo to build his ultimate, and then I use salvo to build my ultimate a little bit, but after Keegan gets his, that way we get the resupply, make sure we get it to start the second act. And then that's pretty much it here. So once everyone gets their ultimate, that way we can start the second act off ready. But the Keegan still doesn't have it, so he's the priority here until we have it. So I have 25 salvo, but I have my ultimate, so I'm waiting for Keegan to have his. That way, it also helps the Foz user have ammo as needed after the safe room. So once he gets his ultimate, I go to work blasting, and I kill everything I see. There's really not much to this section, and there's really not much to getting a high score on the Onslaught, high score as in top 100, because you can't really, unless you're doing some sort of, cheating glitch, you can't really treat this as a regular score run. This is me botching a grenade throw that, and then I think I messed up the other one too. It's hard to throw grenades on those stairs, so if you get a chance like that, don't throw grenades on those stairs. So there's really not much to this first act. You just salvo stuff as it comes up, Foss headshots different drone and grenadier type enemies as they come up, the opportunity presents itself, and ideally you get headshots on scions. When the dust settles, that's when you can get the headshots before it gets chaotic. So as Clayton and a Keegan combination, you're going to have a good bit of salvo at your disposal. So that works nicely. Everyone starts the second act with their ultimates. This is minus 76 at the safe room. And keep in mind, this is with Iron Man. So before Iron Man, this hive was a pain to try because you need the frag pop respawn before and after, but my best time isn't even with the frag pop respawn after the safe room. So it's kind of tedious, or was before with Iron Man, but anyway, I digress. So all three classes or characters need to bring a salvo with them after the safe room, because like I said, the first act or the first part of the second act is extremely fast. So you need to get kills quickly, early, and you need to get ahead and stay ahead of the venom. That's the trickier part about trying to kill all the enemies as these classes, is you got to get ahead, stay ahead. So yeah, it'd be nice to have Foss headshot all the DR1s, or have Keegan or sorry, like not Keegan, but like a Marcus character headshot everything. But I'm not entirely sure if it's possible with that combination. But it would be nice to have that going on to where you can get more headshots and meat shields. But I haven't personally done it yet. And I don't know if anyone's done it legitimately. So I believe this is TC's. This is one of the early highs that had TC's long safe room. Okay, so be aware of the frame rate drops because we get shock poppers, which is the inferior spawn after the safe room, but it is the spawn that has the more leeway. So after the safe room, if you get shock poppers, it's actually a harder. It depends on how you look at it. So the shock poppers after the safe room, you get the DR1s, the protectors, and I think you get devastators. As like protectors and devastators. I'm not sure if it's just the try shots. You might get the salvo ones as well. They can be they're more forgiving than salvo scions in comparison. But what makes this one better in some ways, you get the shock poppers versus the frag poppers. The frag poppers are more likely to end the game and the other spawn than the shock poppers. The shock poppers will just down you if like 8 of them get around you and your teammates. The frag poppers will kill you and end the game. So back when there was Iron Man, that could be infuriating. So we never took any real chances on some of these encounters because we didn't want to die by a frag popper. So we make sure to blow them up at a distance or use a turret at a distance. So anyway. So with Onslaught, there's 4 elite drones just casually posted up there. So you try to get 4 quick headshots. It's one of the rare situations you can actually kill things correctly in this map. I plan a frag just for insurance because the goal here is, unlike other maps, this is literally the only map where you can't kill things correctly. Is you just try to blow things up. As you try to kill things as quickly as possible just to get going on everything. So the Foz use it through a frag just to have the shock poppers kill themselves and get the round rolling. And all we do is go to town on just using our salvos. It's really not much to using your salvo. You just try to get bastions as they come up. You try to get shock poppers as they come up, and then you also try to hopefully get the Keegan's ult charge often enough. That way you can use salvo. So the key with the Foz user bringing the second salvo is they can use it for Keegan. In my opinion, Keegan and Foz are borderline mandatory. Definitely Keegan because of the explosives and the efficient killing, and then also the resupply. So I think Keegan is definitely mandatory. Whether you use Foz or not, it's up to you. But making sure Keegan has his ultimate is key here. So the Foz user brought the third salvo from the first act so Keegan can have his ultimate, or have his ultimate more often through bleed. Can't remember what my friend was running. If he was running, if I were to guess, he's probably running Venom Boost, Recharge Bounty, and Shredder. That'd be my guess. So him getting kills in Venom more often would be ideal for all of us. All right, so you got the Tri-Shot DR1s, the Oppressors, and all you do is literally just use your salvos. Not much to it, but using your salvo at a distance kills these things as quickly as possible. As the non-bleed user, as the non-Keegan user, you don't want to bleed things. You don't want to get more kills than Keegan. You kind of want to manage your salvo. That's why you see me not spamming it as much. You want to make sure that Keegan definitely gets his resupply fast. So what I do here is I use my ultimate just to clean some things up. I think it doesn't really work because of the shock poppers, unfortunately. I get some damage on some enemies, but not really that much. So, but as Clayton, you get your ultimate back pretty often. So there's still Bastions, and they can be very, very irritating. That's why I think you need explosive. I think you need Keegan's bleed to make this work, because Bastion behavior can tend to be overpowered. Where they're hiding behind Bastions, hiding behind walls, things of that nature. So anyway, so there's one more dude, one more protector, or a few more enemies remaining. And then when there's a few more enemies, this is your time to try to get the headshot if you can. Not that 30 seconds for a headshot makes a big difference, but you just do what you can to maximize your score. So we're slightly ahead of the Venom, not a whole lot ahead of the Venom, and here's where things get really, really, really tricky. So in this, not right now, but right now the Foz user is getting ammo because based off of my last video, the Voltok user gets all the ammo, and the characters that need ammo get the ammo. That's the point. The Gunner class or the Clayton class is not based off of getting sniper ammo or blue boxes. It's based off of other things. Check your skill cards if you want to understand what your class is geared towards, because the skill cards are obvious and in detail, or in enough detail to where you understand what you need to be focused on relative to certain classes. So anyways, so the Foz user is getting the ammo, but the tricky part of the second act is this, I guess the second part, as you say, the second part of the second act, mainly because the Bastion behavior can be irritating, and you're going to get a Warden that's almost always Bastion unless you can get rid of that Bastion quickly. The second part of the second act, because it can be, it can go fast, will have 8 stationary elite drones, and sometimes, depending on their visibility or if Foz uses ultimate, they'll either be readily available or you'll have to just blast them with salvo or the terror. So it just depends on the context. So I get salvo. Unfortunately, in this spawn, which makes it somewhat difficult, is the fact that I can't just pick up another salvo from a salvo scion. So, but it's a double-edged sword. You either get all the salvos, but you get the game-ending frag poppers, or you get no salvos and you get the shock poppers that are far more forgiving. So it just depends on what you prefer. Also, the shock poppers come with frame rate issues if you that you have to sometimes deal with. So we know we can't even though my friend has. Oh, I actually misspoke earlier. There's no way he had Shredder, Venom Boost, and Recharge Bounty. He would have to have had Venom. He would have to have Venom Explosive Resupply instead of Venom Boost or instead of Recharge Bounty. But I'm not entirely sure. I'll have to ask him. But we can't entirely wait for Venom to reach where we're at right now because we got to stay ahead of it. And the Venom is pretty fast in the second act. So you have to, kill things quickly so the venom doesn't kill you. And you always have that second supply room in that second act as a somewhat safe haven that we have done in multiple Onslaught runs where we try to kill all the enemies. So right now we try to, similar to the first part of the second act, you try to get all the elite drones first, as many as you can before everything starts to spawn. Two players get on the turrets to try to handle all the poppers, and the Foz user gets the headshots as they come up. So, as you can see, the Foz user tries to get the headshots at the stationary elite drones. Keegan does the same thing, maybe because he has a recharge bounty on. Keegan has his ultimate, according to me hitting LB. I almost have my ultimate, and I get on the turret to stop the onslaught of enemies. The shock poppers, protectors, all spawn out of this little area. And unfortunately, I probably would have been better on the turret if I would have known how to cool down the turret. But surprisingly enough, it didn't affect us too much. Anyway, but see how I'm waiting. Anyway, it's all good. You live and learn. So we get a headshot there, a rare headshot. So when I get my ultimate, because of the necessary efficiency of the onslaught, I just try to bleed out as many elite drones as I can just to get rid of them, because Onslaught has a fast second act, so I'm cognizant of that. So I get 4 or 5 elite drones, which is a pretty good ultimate for that context. So I go back to my spot, which is to get the DR1 protectors as they come up, and the Foz usually gets headshots as they come up. And I think I look for my salvo, but I can't locate it. So I end up going to the supply room. So here's the tricky part of this supply room. So this supply room, and as you can see, the warden's baseball bats. He's about to slam the ground. But this supply room can work as a haven if you get overrun in the middle. It's pretty much your only option. But by the time you get here, you hope that the Foz user or the Keegan user or anyone has gotten rid of the Bastion at this point. If that warden is still Bastion by the time you're in the supply room, that's GG, because the Bastion's not going to come in the supply room, or by the time it does come in, you're already dead. It's a very, very tough position to be in. So, long story short, this positioning can be quite difficult if that warden is Bastion. I'm going to assume the Bastion was either glitched, gotten rid of, I didn't see the kill feed, or the or just had moved to another enemy, because Bastion behavior can be irregular. So whatever it is, it works in our favor, because this warden that's usually Bastion is not. So we are able to kill him with, some things. If this was the frag popper spawn, we'd all have salvo, or at least Clayton and Keegan have salvo. But because this is the shock popper spawn, we have nothing. So let's show. And again, another thing with these onslaught, try to kill everything games, there's been pretty much all of them. There's been a point where where we've gotten lucky. As far as I was JD on another run where it was a perfectly timed ultimate with a 2-down situation that killed the warden. So sometimes it's better to be lucky than good, and some of that luck needs to come into these onslaught runs, because onslaught's basically the coalition's attempt at a custom map where there's far too many enemies relative to the venom speed. So long story short, you just have to do your best when you get into situations like that, and communicate with your teammates if you are in a 3-person team on how you can avoid certain encounters, or if there's a popper coming behind you. Communication also is the key to most of these runs, but I would say even more so in the second act of Onslaught, because everything's got to be somewhat, I don't want to say perfect, but you got to know what you're doing to get in this position and survive it. Well, know what you're doing and be a little bit lucky. So the wardens, I only have a sniper rifle, which is, semi to completely useless as Clayton. But the Foz user has a sniper rifle because he got all the ammo, and he headshots the warden, which is a big deal for score and a big deal just to get rid of the warden, more importantly, honestly. So now we're getting overwhelmed by oppressors and protectors at this point. And it's really up to whoever has ammo, maybe the Foz user, maybe Keegan, to survive as long as we can. So, and then like I think I try to hop this barrier, and I think we're blocking each other. So I move backwards, and we just as things come up, we just try to kill them as best we can. I don't have anything, so I'm just trying to stay alive and use my weak snub pistol. And bait armor is the only reason why I live for that. And somehow I'm still alive. You just honestly, when you're in this position, you just gotta stay alive. And whoever has relevant bullets can get kills. Like I said before, you need a really good Foz user, and you also need really good Keegan to get out of a situation of this nature. So Onslaught, if you do this for score, you'll probably be in the situation to where you're getting pushed in the supply room. So when you do that, good luck. That's all I have to say. All right, so we got a protector and elite drone. I flash because that's all I got. This salvo's empty, but it is the thought that counts. And I finally get some ammo, but by the time I get ammo, everything is virtually dead except a few elite drones. So I blast that elite drone. And I think they gave me salvo as opposed to Keegan so I can have my ult for the LZ. So I almost have my ultimate. So the Venom's getting a little thick for us, well, at least for those two, so we rush out. So I shot an elite drone, which is a bad idea, and I don't know how the Keegan survived that. Oh, side note, I don't know the percentage. Now I realize. When a character is holding a breaker mace, he gets damage resistance. I don't know the exact percentage or whatnot, but if you have a low health character, you get a little bit of damage resistance from melee attacks or venom. It's really, so if you just want the defense, it's good to hold it as you're running through venom, or if you're as you're running towards enemies that are attacking you. So just to keep that, this is a little fun tip. One of my buddies discovered. All right, so basically there's going to be a few straggling elite drones you just got to be mindful of. Camping elite drones are probably my least favorite elite drone. So right now we could try to headshot, but we're just trying to get to the LZ and win, so we just blast them. So at this point, if it was the frag popper spawn, we'd have multiple salvos, but it is what it is. Right now we just have the one, and when you pass a certain tile, I'm not sure exactly which one, they start hopping down out of that spawn directly in front. You can't probably see that well due to the fact that, or because of the frame rate issues. So I try to get some kills with my ultimate because I ran out of salvo. But, my ultimate wasn't that great there. I got one thing, but, it is what it is. And then at this point, you just try to kill as many enemies as you can at certain classes. You can use the turret until the doors start closing. And then Foz can also use sniper if he has it. So this is one of my attempts to kill the Onslaught, all the enemies. As you can see, all that, pixelation in the back, that is all the enemies that are continuing to spawn as the doors are closing. Because of how that is set up, I don't know if it's legitimately possible to kill every single enemy because they spawn so slowly. So yeah, you can try to get headshots here and there as the doors are closing, but that's pretty much it for the Onslaught, at least the team portion. So that's probably my best time on the Onslaught. I did want to get 4 hours on it. Unlike certain players that use the Clayton glitch to get 4 hours, but I wanted to be one of the rare people to get 4 hours legitimately, so we'll see if I ever do that. But the next portion of this video will be a solo run via Paduk on the Onslaught. It's probably my favorite solo on this map, so stay tuned for the second part of this video. All right. So, Paduk on the Onslaught. Pretty sure this is the only video of this being done. I'm not 100% sure, but this is probably my second favorite Paduk solo, but this is probably like my fifth favorite solo out of all the ones I've done. But one thing I appreciate about Paduk solos is the fact that it's not like about, sure there's strategy involved, but it's really just about, the execution build, just living from execution to execution, and you'll see that here. So the only spawn that Paduk can really do before the safe room is the frag popper spawn, and that's mainly because killing the DR1s is extremely annoying. And I'm pretty sure the shock popper spawn has more, enemy types. So it's easier for Paduk to deal with, or chainsaw like a grenadier or things of that nature, but it's a lot harder to deal with the shock popper spawn. But let's get into the video. So I go to the supply room and I need to get a Lancer, and that's what makes all this possible. It's Iron Man, so I don't know, or there's Iron Man on, so I'm not entirely sure where it is. So I'm running Menace, which allows me to get my ult every 4 executions, so that's kind of nice. At least I believe I'm running Menace in this video. So the thing about the Onslaught is, the turrets don't charge your ultimate, and when you're a character that has low health like Paduk, you need to be mindful of those drones. So the only time I'm able to really get on the turret and get a lot of kills is if I'm like Anchor, and I'll clip all the solos of the Onslaught in the description. But if I'm Anchor, I can get on the turret and get a good bit of kills. If I'm Clayton, I can get on the turret and get a good bit of kills. But other classes, it's just too much. It's just too much damage you take from like 8 camping annoying drones that hide behind corners and go back and duck under cover. So there's only a couple of classes that can handle being on a turret. So what I do in the supply room is I need to I need to try to get headshots from the supply room, kill drones, which allows me to charge my ult, kill poppers as they come up, things of that nature. So headshot drones, that way I don't have to deal with them later. But the grenadiers and the poppers that come up, I got to make sure that I'm chainsawing them as often as possible to keep putting them in fear. I empty my Lancer, that way I don't get the reload glitch when I'm trying to chainsaw. So as the grenadiers get closer, I make sure to chainsaw and fall back. So there's going to be a lot of chainsawing and fall back. And I'm also running armored shot. I think that I discovered, 2 months ago, this isn't a thing anymore, but 2 months ago, their armored shot worked if Paduk was on the turret. I actually don't know if it's still the case, but because I knew I was going to get turret kills when I had stem, I ran armored shot. So that's just a quick tip there. That way, if you see some bleed kills with the turret, you know what's going on. So anyway, there's really not much to this first portion. You stop the poppers as best you can. And armored shot's not amazing. It doesn't kill things that fast. But and then you chainsaw. You try to get all your health back because the poison flushers will try to kill you. And it also slows down your chainsaw at times. And the poppers keep coming in. So it's actually hard to maintain your stem. But the phase and the execution build keeps you alive, though. And then you're constantly dealing with enemies that are in fear, still trying to kill you, such as poppers or salvo sons, things of that nature. So it is something you have to get through when you're dealing with Paduk solos in general. Sometimes drones push a lot in the Onslaught, and sometimes they don't push at all. I really don't understand the Onslaught in that regard. So chainsaw just to get a little bit of defense, but it's one of the rare instances where I gotta, kept my stem. So more grenadiers coming in, chainsaw, put everything else in fear. The phase and execution build really keeps me alive here. So I don't know if you haven't seen any of my Paduk solos, that could help you understand like why I'm staying alive. But basically, phase, execution shield, and menace are like typically my go-to three cards when I'm running this build. I believe I also ran Armored Shot and possibly Nomad. I honestly can't remember what the cards I ran for this. I'd have to think about it. But Phase and Execution Shield allows me to Execution Shield allows me to be 100% immune to any damage while I'm executing, and then Phase puts the nearby enemies in fear for 12 seconds while I'm doing an execution. So when you're doing a cycle of fear of that nature, that'll help you progress as Paduk, at least on this map, or again, any solo. Honestly, when it comes down to solo, this is probably my favorite class to use. So see right there, that popper is trying to detonate while in fear. You just gotta, I don't know, TC is gonna TC. You just I've gotten so used to that stuff, I don't even see that as abnormal anymore. So the Venom's getting close because this is actually not really that efficient, and I'm always pretty pushed for Venom on this map as any character, but especially this class. So there's really not a lot of room for error as Paduk or Nomad on Onslaught. So you just have to be careful here. So like I said, on Onslaught, sometimes the drones camp like crazy, but on this run, they were pushing. But now they're doing like a hybrid of pushing and camping. So anyway, that can be annoying as well. So I'm not running Terror like I usually am, so this drone quickly gets out of fear. He side rolls in fear, which is very irritating. But, like I said, you kind of just have to move on and move on to the next encounter and, have a short memory, because if you think about what happened, it could annoy you too much for the next encounter. So basically, I make sure I just keep executing over and over again and keep progressing forward. So that puts that enemy in fear. As long as you're doing executions, you might be putting enemies in fear that you don't even know are there. So that's pretty important as well to know. So put that guy in fear. Also, it'll also give me my ultimate. So that's nice. So there's no other drone enemy. So I move to the next section. Actually, correction. I think there's one more drone that I didn't locate, and I could get him really quickly. So there's 3 snipers here. They're virtually not a threat at all outside of the poison, because I can always execute for stem, or just headshot from a distance, depending on what I want to do. But yeah, the poison can knock off your stem, and the poison can mess up your chainsaw. That's something to just be mindful of. So I grab ensigns because there's a time at the end of the operation where. There's a time at the end of the operation to where grenades, if you had armor shot on, the grenades would cause bleed damage. So when it comes down to these solo runs, I pull from every resource necessary to make sure I get a win. So anyway, I grab ensigns, which can do a little bit more extra damage. I guess I could have grabbed frags earlier, but I don't know if I even checked for them. But yeah, so I use this second supply room to fill up my sniper. I make sure to fill up my Lancer a little bit. That way I can drop it, because I don't want it filled up all the way, because I'm not going to use Lancer bullets. I think I want to load up my bolt hawk, or excuse me, I want to load up my bolt hawk and my sniper rifle, because the sniper can be useful for scions, and it can also be useful for drone enemies that are very, very far away. So when it comes down to anything that deals with Paduk and solo runs, you don't want to you almost never want to have besides certain situations on the mist, you pretty much never want to have ammo in your Lancer. Unless you're going to use that use, armored shot to bleed out an enemy with your Lancer. But if you have ammo in your Lancer and you're trying to chainsaw, the enemies may put you in a situation to where you're reloading all the time, and that's very, very irritating. So just keep that in mind as well. So I get all the ammo, reload my Boltog, reload my Sniper, which doesn't take a whole lot. I don't even need all the boxes. And then I go back for the Lancer because that's the key to all this. So as per usual, I empty the Lancer. Well, eventually empty the Lancer. And as I said earlier in the video, so you get drone enemies, poppers, and salvo scions in this encounter. Luckily, I had armor shots, so my botched headshot attempts was still going to bleed them out. So now I'm looking for camping drones and camping snipers because they can really mess me up while I'm on the turret. And you want to get on the turret on these solo runs because of the fact they don't use your own ammo. But you want to get these snipers first and the drones first. That way they're not shooting you while you're on the turret. Like I said, this solo would have been a little bit easier if I knew how to cool down the turret. But it is what it is. Live and learn, I suppose. Killing the poppers from a distance allows there to be friendly fire on some of the other enemies like the scions and things of that nature. You always want to be careful because I saw it in the corner of my popper flank. I'm not sure where he's going. Yeah, poppers can be very, very annoying on this map because they do like weird movement patterns. I think his movement okay, no. I thought it was completely compromised. Anyway, salvo scion spamming shots. You have to be mindful of that. There's 4 salvo scions in this little situation, the second part of the first act, so you got to be careful of that. And also, me having armored shot. I don't know if this is still a thing. Me having armored shot while I'm on the turret causes bleed damage. A salvo scion flanking is probably one of the more scariest things you can be a part of. But that initial popper really put me in a bad situation because it caused me to get off the turret, and now I'm getting slightly overrun with the venom getting on top of me. So I'm getting slightly rushed by a few poppers. The venom is pretty thick and it's pretty close behind me, unfortunately. And I think I have one more scion to deal with, and I think I have to use my fear ability on him. And the only reason I throw this is because I thought I still had stim, which if I did, it would have bleed him out. But luckily, my passive still got him to fairly low health. I wait for him to spam his shots, and then I go for Boltog heads to maximize damage, and then I kill the salvo scion. So sometimes there's a few straggling enemies on the onslaught, like a drone or a sniper that hasn't been aggroed. You just have to be careful of those types of enemies as you push. Because of how the venom is right now, I really don't have time for that supply run. So I handle this drone who's, slow motion walking for some reason. And that allows me to get a little bit more of my ultimate. And I pick up whatever's out here, like maybe a frag or, and this is another enemy that can be, waiting around corners. You gotta be careful. So I get frag and I get salvo because that's the only thing I have to move to the next section outside of my chainsaw. So anyway, I move to the next section. And this is the part that gets really intense when you're dealing with Paduk on this map. So I throw frag just for y'all charge and just to get the ball rolling as far as enemies dying. I throw another frag to get another group of enemies. And because of the glitch that was going on, I get some kills with my frag kill. Or my frag throw, I should say. So as enemies are coming up, I'm going to use salvo as well, just using everything I have at my disposal. That way, so I use salvo for mainly the poppers, so they can weaken all the other enemies, so it can cause a chain reaction to weaken everything on the stairs. Whatever with solo runs, sometimes you get in a position to where you just have to pick up ammo off the ground, due to the fact that you just need to work with what you got. Because as you can see in this map, I did not have time to go to the second supply room, so I had to just, scavenge to see how much salvo was on the ground, how much frag was on the ground, because that's all I had time for. The supply room would have added another 30 seconds or a minute to my time that I did not have because I wasn't. This class is probably one of the least efficient classes while still completing a solo run on this particular map. With 3 people, the Venom is very slow, but with 1 person, you can get really pushed for time. So I use salvo as I can, and I think I try to look for other salvo, but I eventually give up on that plan, and all I do is, I just use execution shield to keep myself alive, and also gives me stim. I still have armored shot, so that helps, and also phase keeps nearby enemies in fear, so that keeps me alive as well. The drones and grenadiers are going to continue pushing, and before the safe room, they do slow motion walks away from you, so that's nice. So when enemies are in fear before the safe room, they walk in slow motion. If they're in fear after the safe room, they rush the LZ. So it's far more fair before the safe room, the Paduk's fear ability. So there's a salvo scion that's on the stairs. There's 4 of them total in this section. I kill him with armored shot. And the Venom is like almost completely on top of me at this point. So I have to go this way just to stay out of the Venom and maintain my stem. So I get shots here and there just to lower the health of the enemies with armor shot. Unfortunately, this popper rushes me, so I have to use my fear ability. I'm not running terror, so it's really a temporary solution just to get to phase. So at this point, once the salvo signs come up, I'm pretty scared right now. Back to when I remember playing it. So here's a situation that I wasn't sure was happening. So when you do enough nomad Paduk solos or whatever, enemies kill you in fear, sires grab you in fear. You get so used to certain stuff like that you just kind of accept it in some cases. As you can see, both of these scions are clearly aiming or looking at me at minimum, and I thought I was going to get blasted. So there's a split second or a couple seconds, whatever, where I just stand there waiting to see if I'm going to get blasted. But somehow, some way, I don't. So because I don't get blasted, I basically come up with a plan and say I'm just going to phase my way to the safe room. Because I know I was so far from killing every enemy there. If you can see the Venom, I'm completely pushed on Venom. So my only solution is to phase my way to the safe room. And that is why I like Paduk solos over other classes, because of the fact that you don't need a ton of ammo and you need to be up close and personal to get kills. So if you like those types of classes where, melee classes or whatever, this is probably the best class for it, because you can kill an enemy, and while you're killing an enemy, you can scare other enemies near it. So I think it's one of the better classes in the game, if not the best. So I wait here to see if the salvo scions are going to blast me, and I realize they're not. That salvo scion completely teleports. I'm not sure if anyone ever noticed that. And right now I just keep chainsawing all the way to the safe room. That drone teleports. He teleports next to me, so I keep chainsawing. And the salvo scions, 3 of them are above me at this point. So right now they're just going to be shooting down below. So my job is to stay alive through my stem, execution shield, and also just phasing my way to the safe room. And I'm going to clip the link of this video, but the sound of this situation is just hearing a salvo sign saying firing every 5 seconds and shooting salvos. It's a pretty intense moment as far as, solo runs in general, or escape runs in general. So right now I'm just continuously phasing my way to the safe room. And sometimes there's enemies not in fear that you got to be aware of. There's a few enemies not in fear that are, a little bit further back that almost end the game, actually. So my only job is to make sure I get from execution to execution. So that drone, I couldn't pinpoint him, so I make sure I chainsaw that drone and get stem and stay alive. So I see that drone and I see that popper. I'm not sure why they're spawning so late, But I almost died right here, but I was able to get a chainsaw on this drone just in time. And I tried to, and something was shooting me in fear right there, so I just popped my ultimate, and I'm at the safe room. So one of the more scary encounters as far as Onslaught's concerned, but you can still do it because of the fact that Onslaught has a Nomad class is good for crowd control, and the Onslaught is the epitome of having a lot of enemies in a crowd. So I think this class is still a good option for this map. All right, so I'm not going to pause this almost at all after the safe room because there's really no legitimate class that can kill everything after the safe room, at least not in my opinion. Possibly Gunner, possibly Tactician. Those are probably the better options because Gunner has his ultimate. Anyway, so I use Sniper to get rid of the first couple of elite drones as I see them. I don't have stim, I don't think, so a missed shot's not gonna, or a body shot's not gonna help me, so I gotta get a headshot. So there's one more elite drone I have to be mindful of, and not sure if I see him or not, but anyway, I gotta get going before the enemy spawn on top of me, because with Onslaught, for some reason, with the way the spawns are set up, you can just run by everything. So there's one elite drone right there. Headshot him real quick, and then I gotta go before the poppers and everything spawns behind me. So I have 2 flashes, and there's really not much to this second act. You just gotta be mindful of elite drone placement, and you honestly gotta know where you're going. I think I lost in the second act on one of my attempts because I didn't know where I was going. If you can get a couple of headshots with elite drones, that can only help your cause, but keep in mind, the slower you are, the more chances the popper's going to come up behind you. So I throw a flash, and because this is TC, it doesn't flash anything, but I just run by this elite drone completely. And then I throw a flash on one enemy, and then one enemy scares the crap out of me, and then I use my a lucky bolt talk stun, I should say, and it executes that nearby elite drone. So because it's after a safe room, the enemies idiotically, run to the LZ, and because I know that, I know I have some solid defense once I go to the LZ, so I can use Execution Shield on elite drones that mindlessly run the LZ. Not sure why TC has it designed to be complete idiots, but that's what they have them designed to do. And then this is a shock popper spawn, so it's more forgiving. So I really don't have anything to worry about here. So that's pretty much it as far as Onslaught detail analysis. This is a solo run and a team run, and I'll clip both of those links and all relevant Onslaught links in the description. And this is the only Nomad Onslaught solo that I've seen. So hopefully you enjoyed this video and you enjoyed this tutorial of the Onslaught. Hope this helps you complete it. And if you're feeling gutsy enough, hopefully it helps you solo it. So now that there's no Iron Man, this is the time to solo. So thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for the next video. Peace.